Anaximenes, Rhetoric to Alexander, Chapter 1, and excerpts from Chapter 2. There are three genres of political speeches: demagogic, epidictic, and forensic. And of these, there are 7 species: proposition, opposition, praise, criticism, prosecution, defense, and investigation, either by itself, or with another species. That is how many species of speeches there are, and we use them in public democratic debates, in legal pleading over contracts, and in private discussions. We could speak about these matters most readily if we took them up individually and enumerated their capacities, their uses, and their practices, and if we went through proposition and opposition first, since their use is most common in private discussions and in public democratic debates. Generally speaking, a proposition speech is an appeal to choices, words, or actions, and an opposition speech is a deterrence of choices, words, or actions. Given these definitions, the proposing speaker must demonstrate that those things for which he is appealing are just, legal, advantageous, noble, pleasant, and easy to do. And if not, he must demonstrate that they are possible whenever he is exhorting something difficult, and that they are necessary to do. But the opposing speaker must convey deterrence through the opposite, that to do it is neither just nor legal, nor advantageous, nor noble, nor pleasant, nor possible. If not, that it requires hard work and is unnecessary. All actions involve both of these, so that no one taking either of these positions will be at a loss for words. These, then, are the things that proposing and opposing speakers ought to strive for. I shall try to define what each of them is, and show where we shall be well supplied with them for the speeches. Just is defined as the unwritten custom of all, or of most, which distinguishes the noble from the base. That is, to honor one's parents, to treat friends well, and to return favors to benefactors. The written laws do not direct people to do these and like things, but they are regulated by unwritten custom and common law. These are the things that are just. Law is a common agreement of a city directing in writing how everything must be done. The advantageous is defined as protection of existing goods, acquisition of non-present goods, disposal of existing harms, or the prevention of damages that are expected to occur. For individuals, you will distinguish it with regard to body, soul, and possessions. For the body, strength, beauty, and health are advantageous. For the soul, courage, wisdom, and a sense of justice. Possessions include friends, money, and property. The opposite of these are disadvantageous. For a city, the following sorts of things are advantageous: harmony, military capacities, money, and a good supply of revenues, and quality and a quantity of allies. In sum, we think everything like these advantageous and their contraries disadvantageous. Noble are the things from which a good reputation and reputable honor accrues to those who do them. Pleasant are those things that produce joy. Easy are those things accomplished in at the least time and with the least effort and cost. Possible are all those things that have the possibility to occur. Necessary are things for us to do, not because of ourselves, but because of divine or human necessity. These, then, are things just, legal, advantageous, noble, pleasant, easy, and possible, and necessary. We shall be well supplied to speak about them from what has been said here earlier, from things similar and opposite to them, and from what has been judged already, either by the gods or by reputable people, by judges, or by our adversaries. What the just is, we have made clear earlier. What is similar to the just is of this sort. For instance, Just as we think it is just to obey one's parents, in the same manner it is fitting for sons to imitate their father's actions. And just as it is just to reciprocate those who do good, so it is just for us not to harm those doing nothing wrong to us. It is necessary to devise what is similar to the just in that manner. But from the contraries, one must make plain the opposite. For instance, just as it is just to punish those who have done something wrong, it is also fitting to reciprocate benefactors. You will devise what is judged just by some reputable people in this way. For instance, it is not we alone who hate and do harm to enemies, but the Athenians and Spartans judge it just to punish their enemies. By proceeding in this way, you will get hold of the just in many ways. The legal itself, what it is, has been defined earlier, but when it is useful, one must take up the speaker himself and the law, and then what is similar to the written law, as follows. For instance, just as the legislator restrains thieves with the greatest punishments, one must also punish deceivers in particular, for they steal one's thought. And just as the legislator has made heirs those nearest by kinship to those who die, it is also fitting for me to have authority over the money of the freedman, since I am myself closest to those who freed him and have died, and I am just in having control over their freedmen. What is similar to the legal is achieved in this manner, but the contrary is this way. For instance, if the law forbids sharing out state funds, it is clear that the legislator has judged all those dividing them for themselves to be doing injustice. And, for instance, if the laws command that those who care for state funds nobly and justly be honored, it is clear that they think those who abuse state funds worthy of punishment. The legal becomes plain from contraries in this way, and from what has been judged in the following way. For instance, not only do I claim that the legislator enacted this law for these reasons, but also in the past, when Thucydides was relating very similar things to what I am saying now, the judges voted for the same interpretation of this law. By proceeding in this way, we shall demonstrate the legal in many ways. The advantageous itself, what it is, has been defined in the earlier sections, but we must bring it into our speeches. As with what has been said before, so also now with the advantageous. If there is something available, and by proceeding in the same manner in which we went through the legal and the just, in this way also we must elucidate the advantageous in many forms. What is similar to the advantageous is like this. For instance, just as in the wars, it is advantageous to place the bravest at the front, so also in government, it is beneficial for the most intelligent and just to lead the majority. And for instance, just as it is advantageous for healthy people to guard against becoming ill, so also for harmonious cities, it is advantageous to be watchful against falling into civil strife. By proceeding in this manner, you will compose many things similar to the advantageous, but the advantageous will be plain to you from contraries in the following way. For instance, if it is beneficial to honor honest citizens, it would also be advantageous to restrain the base. Or, for instance, if you think it is disadvantageous for us to wage war against Thebes by ourselves, it would be advantageous to make an alliance with Sparta and then wage war against Thebes. You will make the advantageous plain from opposites in this way, but it is necessary to devise what has been judged advantageous by reputable men in this way. For instance, after defeating the Athenians, the Spartans thought it advantageous for themselves not to enslave their city. And again, the Athenians with the Thebans, although it was possible for them to demolish Sparta, thought it advantageous for themselves to preserve the Spartans. You will be well equipped concerning the just and the legal and the advantageous by proceeding in this way. Pursue the noble, the easy, the pleasant, the possible, and the necessary in ways similar to these. We shall be well equipped concerning these matters from there. Now, let us determine how many things, what sorts, and the means by which we advise about them in both councils and assemblies. If we clearly understand each of these, the subject matter itself will provide the individual speeches at each of our deliberations. And by first knowing the general forms by and large, we shall easily be able to apply them to each of our undertakings. For this reason, we must analyze the things about which all deliberate in common. To speak generally, therefore, there are 7 subjects concerning which we debate democratically. We must deliberate and speak, and counsel in assembly, about religious matters, laws, the condition of the city, alliances or treaties with other cities, wars, peace, or fiscal revenues. Since these are the subjects about which we deliberate and debate, let us go through each and examine in what ways it is possible to use speech about them. Let us take up the same method with regard to the most important aspects of war and peace. These are the reasons to wage war on others. For instance, since we were wronged before, now that the opportunities have come, we must defend ourselves against those who did the wrong. Or, since we are being wronged now, we must make war either on behalf of ourselves, or our kinsmen, or our benefactors, or to help allies who are being wronged, or for the sake of the city's advantage, or its good reputation, resources, or power, or something else of that sort. When we are recommending going to war, we must bring together as many of these reasons as possible, and after this, show that those to whom we are making the recommendation possess most of the things that give success in war. Everyone succeeds in war either because of the goodwill of the gods, which we call good fortune, through numbers and strength of personnel, through a good supply of money, through intelligent generalship, through the excellence of allies, or through the natural superiority of their position. By taking up these points and ones similar to these that are most suitable to the situation, we shall make clear when we are recommending going to war by minimizing the points of our opponents and making the most of our own points by amplification. If we are attempting to prevent war that is about to happen, we must show first that absolutely none of the reasons for it is present, or that the grievances are small and trivial, and then that there is no advantage in making war. In addition, we must show that our opponents have more of what leads to victory in war. These have just been enumerated. From these sources, we must avert a war that is about to happen. But if we are trying to stop a war that has started, if those who are seeking your counsel are stronger, it is necessary first to say this. For instance, those with sense must not wait until they fall, but must make peace while they are still stronger. Then, by nature, war also destroys many who are successful in them, but peace both saves the defeated and provides the victors the enjoyment of what they fought over. We must also go through the reverses in war, that they are many and incalculable. We must urge those who are stronger in war on the basis of such points to peace. And those who have been defeated, we must urge on the basis of the circumstances themselves, of not being embittered under the influence of their misfortunes, at those who have done injustice on the basis of the dangers that have resulted from not making peace, and on the basis of it being better to forego part of one's possessions to the stronger than to be defeated in war and to die for one's belongings. In sum, we must understand this, that all people are accustomed to end wars among themselves when they accept that their opponents have just claims, when they have differences with their allies, when they are tired of war, when they fear their opponents, or when they have strife among themselves. So, by gathering material appropriate to the circumstances from all these and similar points, you will not be at a loss if you need to debate peace and war. Anaximenes, Rhetoric to Alexander, Chapter 38. Both in speaking and in writing, we must attempt as much as possible to deliver speeches according to what has been said here, and to accustom ourselves to use it all readily. We shall have the greatest number in the most technically sound bases for skillful speaking, both in private and in public contests, as well as in discussions with others. We must be disciplined, not only in speeches, but also in life, by ordering ourselves according to the norms that have been stated. Life preparation contributes both to persuasion and to gaining an honest reputation. You must divide the matters according to the entire system of instruction, whatever you must attempt first, second, third, or fourth, and then do the preparation of yourself, just as in the introductions we discuss matters regarding the audience. You will put these aspects of yourself in a friendly light if you abide by what you agree to, keeping the same friends throughout your whole life, and appear not to change the rest of your behavior, but always keep it the same. They will give you attention if you pursue great and noble actions that benefit the many. Once they have become friendly, when you get to the actions that avoid troubles and create goods, they will accept them as advantageous to themselves, and those that bring about the contrary for them, they will reject. Rather than making your narration rapid, clear, and credible, you must describe the actions as advantageous or disadvantageous. However, you will achieve rapidity if you do not try to do everything at once, but the first thing first and then the rest in order. You will speak cleanly if you do not suddenly interrupt a subject and start on other matters before finishing it. You will speak credibly if what you are doing is not contrary to your character, and in addition, if you do not make the same people your enemies and friends. Regarding proofs, about matters about which we have knowledge, we shall undertake its guidance in dealing with the subjects. But about matters about which we are ignorant, we shall follow what happens for the most part. It is safest in such situations to act with a view to what is usual. For a trial against adversaries, with regard to the speeches, we shall compose our confirmation from what has been said by us. But with regard to contracts, we shall do this if we handle them according to the laws, both the unwritten and the written, with the best witnesses possible in a limited time. Regarding the conclusion, we shall remind the audience what has been said by again discussing the headings. We shall recall what was done when we are putting our hand to the same actions or actions similar to those earlier. They will be friendly to us if we act in such a way that they will think that they have been treated or are being treated or will be treated well. We shall do important things if we put our hands to actions that cause many good things. We must bring about this behavior with regard to our life. By means of the earlier part of the treatise, we must practice doing speeches.